Okay. Here we go. Another Thursday, another live stream. Let's make sure all the buttons are pushed. Make sure things are working. I want to take a look at my to-do list, my bug list here. I've been, of course, doing a whole bunch of play testing, which is pretty fun, really, right? It's pretty fun to be able to play test your game over and over again. And it's really gratifying. It's really fun. It's really fun to see the number of bugs drop, right? The game gets more and more playable. Right now, there's, at least for the demo, there's nothing game breaking right now. You can play for an hour, nothing really, nothing drastic happens. There is one bug that's kind of on the verge of being game breaking. And I want to see if we can dig into that today. I want to see if we can reproduce that, figure out how to reproduce that bug, and then maybe fix that bug. And that bug is kind of this. It's almost like an internal game memory leak, but it's a resource leak. What happens is, for some reason, so buildings put in requests. They say, hey, I need such and such a resource so that I can do whatever. They put in these requests for resources. And there's a bunch of tracking that goes on. It was a surprise. I was surprised how complicated that system actually needed to be in order to work. And what's happening is, somewhere along the lines, those requests are getting either duplicated or they're getting served more than once. And what that's happening is then it's creating a negative resource tally in one of the counts. So there's a bunch of accounting that has to go on, and that negative result is then causing problems. So, for example, instead of storing 10 or 20 or 30 units of something, I found a building that was storing 300 units of fuel cells instead of 30. And because this seems to happen rapidly, it seems to happen kind of not necessarily all at once, but those requests, like something's not happening right, you get a pretty substantial hit to your economy, because all of a sudden you have all these fuel cells, everything's going well, and then all of a sudden this one building is requesting a huge amount of them, or is getting a huge amount of them, and all of a sudden your economy tanks because nothing else has any fuel cells. It's a weird little bug. So that's one bug I would love to dig in and see if we can just reproduce that today. If we can even just reproduce it, that'll be a huge start. That whole system is complicated. It could probably be simpler, but there's just a lot of edge cases there. And so I'd love to be able to reproduce that bug today, maybe dig into it. But let's see what else we've got. Before maybe we dive into that, let's take a look at what other bugs I've got here. Let's push the buttons here and get things right. All right, we've got some performance issues down there. I'm not so worried about performance right now. But let's see. Okay, so improve, we did this one. So I had all my resource production buildings running their own coroutine, which sort of worked, but it was actually creating a fair amount of garbage to have those coroutines going. So I was able to cut that garbage down by about a third by not having coroutines. So now they basically just register with the manager and they work. So let's see, the corporate directive got stuck. I have that left here because that happened once and I'm not sure why. Sometimes when I'm playing testing, like I'll push a button in the editor and the inspector and it breaks things because it was never designed to work that way, and they're not buttons the player can press. So that might be an issue. Camera can't pan when paused, not too worried about that. This one is frustrating because I don't know what's wrong with it. Workers. So what that is when you pull up the worker menu, you can get like your how many workers you have total, how many are available to go to new jobs, what your housing total is. And then what you're supposed to get is if you need more workers than you have, you're supposed to get this red text that says, hey, you need 5 more workers, just to give the player a nice handle on, hey, how many workers do you need to hire right now? And it's just, something's bugging out on it. So let's see, tower projectiles not respecting range. That's a pain. New solution. Okay, this is a performance issue. Let's move that down here. I've got spinning fans on a lot of buildings just for some visual interest. And it's taking a lot of time for that to happen. So I need to find a better solution for that. Enemy unit minimaps not turning off. That was a bug that I caused recently. All right, bottom right button should toggle, not just open. Okay, that's an easy fix. We can do that super quick. And storage building needs a build up. Maybe we'll do those two. Those are pretty quick and easy to tick off our list. Oh, and here's another bug. So when we switch recipes, so for example, a factory can produce both, right now in the demo, it'll be able to produce canned food and thermite. And when you switch recipes, it does some of the work correctly. It like exports all of the resources that it had from the previous recipe, which is great. It cleans itself up, but it doesn't appear to actually be putting in the request for the new recipe. So that's not game breaking, but it's close. Let's see. And market switch to sell when opening. Okay, so what I want there is every time you open the stock market window, it's going to reset some of its values. And I'm doing that because when I've play tested, I've like, you know how it is. You open something up, you don't read every word that's there. And so when you open that market, most of the time players are going to want to be selling something. And so if you bought a resource 5 minutes ago, you're not going to remember that. We reset it. Likewise, I did the same thing with a number of loads that you are buying or selling. Every time you open it, it resets to 1. Because again, I was doing the same thing. Like, oh, I sold 3 units last time, totally forgot about it, got on there, wanted to go buy something and accidentally bought 3 loads when I only wanted 1. And then drop cargo sits about above the ground. That is probably not a difficult thing to do, but I'm going to move that up here. And we're going to see if we can tackle these 4. Let's see if we can tackle those 4. Once we get those 4 done, I think they shouldn't be that hard to do. This one, requesting a new recipe, that might be I'm just going to take a little bit of testing. That one might be a little tricky, but these other ones should just be a matter of like turning the crank a little bit here. So let's do this. Let's get over to our other scene. Oh, another exciting news. Two things. If people want to play along, there is now a demo up on itch. I should update it. It's playable. It doesn't have necessarily the latest fixes from the last few days, but it is playable. If you check the description, there is a link to the itch page for the demo. It is a different page than the game itself. Check out the demo there. You can play along. Love feedback. Love feedback. So that's big. Still waiting to put the demo up on Steam because that's a much bigger launch. But there is now a playable demo up on itch. All right, so what I want to do is, here is my bottom right buttons. We'll zoom in a little bit here so we can actually see what we're doing. So we've got these bottom right buttons here, and these open up the various menus. And I want them to toggle because it's just nice if it toggles. And some of them toggle, some of them just open. We're going to set this to toggle. So marketplace, toggle. Workers, we're gonna go toggle, Resources is toggle. Communication is toggle. Settings is toggle. Okay, sweet. Most of them are already toggle. All right, that one's done. Let's do this market switch to sell. That should also be fairly straightforward. Let's get our code window over here. Let's see. I forget. Let's see. I think I called it market window. Yep. All right. Make this a little bit bigger so folks can see. That's really big. All right. So what I want to see, it should be on close or open window. So here we go. Yeah. Volume order equals 1. So this is where we're resetting it. And what I do want to see is where we are buy or sell. My wife just sent me a picture of the food her school is providing. She has to stay for graduation until 7 o'clock tonight. Virtually no break. So she will be working from 8 o'clock this morning to 7 o'clock this evening, and she gets Jimmy John's. All right, so all we need to do is set buy or sell to, we just need to set the value of that, I believe. I'm not a big fan of Jimmy John's. I think it looks absolutely disgusting. I've had it once. I thought it was really gross. So it's a little bit of an inside thing with this. All right, let's go test that. Okay, so we've got 2 of those bugs done. Not even really bugs. Quality of life. A little bit of polish. Little bit of polish. The hope is still to get this demo up on Steam July or June, late June, maybe July. All right, so these should all, let's just test it. Okay, so those are all toggling. That's great. And then what I want to see is if we open the market, I switch to buy, we do like a whole bunch of loads, close, and then I open it again. We're back to buy, and we're doing 1 shipment. Okay. Oh, but the price didn't. Oh, okay. So the price isn't actually updating. That's a good catch. Okay, so the price is not updating. The shipments are updating, but the price is not. All right, well, let's go find. Let's go see where this is actually changed. So this is the price of order. Update order. That should be getting. It should be getting hit. Well, let's find out what's going on. And if you guys do make your way over to Itch to check out that demo, it's just a zip file. So when you download it and open it, it will give you kind of a Windows warning. Do you trust the person? And I guess you get to decide if you trust the person. All right, let's. I'm gonna put in a breakpoint there. Let's see if this is actually working the way it's supposed to. Okay, so we hit that. That's great. Volume of order. Why is it 0? Volume of order. Okay, we did it again. Great. Okay, that's just it all getting set up. If we open the menu, okay, now we hit it again. Price of, okay, so the price of order is $7.83. And if I go there, okay, $15.54. Okay, so we've doubled our price, which is what should be happening. And now if I open it again, volume of order is down to 1. Oh, we didn't. Oh, I know what's going on. Okay, so that's getting calculated correctly. I think we're just doing this in the wrong order. Yep. Okay, we're updating the UI before we update the order. So that doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. I'm gonna try not to sing. I need to open the window a little bit. Our temperatures have been all over the place. 10 days ago, I think we were 80. We almost froze last night. I mean, quite literally, it almost froze last night. All right, so there's our price, 11.40. We close it. We open it up again. There we go. Cool. All right. Just quality of life improvements. All right. This one here, the factory not putting in requests for new resources. So I want to test this again. This is something that came up. I found this bug a couple weeks ago, or maybe a week ago, and I went to go test it. It was working. I wrote it off as done, and then it wasn't. So I don't know if it was a bug that, kicked in later. But I want to see what's going on. So what it's going to do, we're going to build our factory here, and our factory should it'll get going, and it'll be producing canned food. That's its default. And what we're going to do, we're going to come over here and unlock. We're going to unlock thermite, which is that's the other factory recipe you get in the demo. Speed it up a little bit. The bug I was mentioning at the beginning, this resource leak where things are allowed to store more than they're actually supposed to, I think might be related to speeding up the game. I've got these speed controls here. I think it might have something to do with that. All right, so we are producing canned food. That's great. Let's unlock our thermite. Now, this really bad menu. I'm gotta make this one better. I'm gonna choose thermite, which changes what's here in our inventory. So now we have aluminum and iron, which is how you make thermite. And what it's doing is it's unloading all these other things. But you can, we're done. Like we didn't request that. We didn't request any aluminum. We didn't request any iron. And the other way I can see this, I go put my inspector in debug mode. Here are my requested resources: energy, food, and iron, which is the recipe for canned food. I put my canned food in iron cans, not aluminum cans, iron cans. Actually, it might be better to put them in aluminum cans. That doesn't really matter. Okay. Okay, so what I need to do is now look at, there's a specific function in the resource protection behavior when you switch recipes. So here's recipe changed. Okay, so here is where we are setting the recipe. Okay, let's try this real quick. Let's put a breakpoint in here. Let's make sure we're hitting this. One of my least favorite things to do is to debug code and then realize I was debugging code that I didn't, was wrong. Okay, so recipe index 0, that's good. So here we're supposed to be adjusting for recipes. So recipe index 0, that should be our canned food. Great. Let's try this one more time. Let's switch over to our thermites. Okay, we're getting 1. All right. So I think this is all working. So it's this adjust storage for recipe. This is what's not functioning correctly. So let's go in here. And this storage behavior is like, it is a massive class, which makes sense, right? This game is mostly about moving resources around, collecting resources, all that kind of good stuff. So this is a massive, massive class that could probably be refactored. I'm just afraid of breaking things. All right, so we're sending in old recipe, new recipe. And the reason, again, we're doing that is because we want to clear out all the resources from the old recipe and request resources for the new recipe. And we are definitely clearing out the recipe, so that is working. So I think this is where we should be. Okay, so let's go look at this. So we've got a whole bunch of different lists going on. Okay, so we've just switched back to thermite. Let's go take a look at what that did to our storage. So resources stored. Actually, let's look at allowed types. So allowed types is correct. We've set that correctly. And pickup types is just thermite. So basically we use these two lists to do what they say, right? What types are we allowed to store? And then just to be careful that we don't accidentally pick up something that is being used in a recipe, we have a pickup types for what can actually be picked up. Hey, Lee Davis, Lee1 Davis 1. Thanks for joining. Oh, no, chat's quiet today. It's quiet today. It's never all that crazy over here on the channel, but it is a quiet day on the channel. Quiet day in the chat. Okay, so I think what's happening is we are not... Well, I know we're not requesting our resources. So I was kind of under the impression... Let's shrink all this down here. You heard me talking about Jimmy John's. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a little thing with my wife and I. We'll be on a road trip and she's like, there's Jimmy John's. Like, nope, it's closed. All right, so I think what we've got to call, I just want to double check. You can see how like this class is, you could argue it's bloated, but it just does a lot of stuff. It's dealing with all these resources going in and out. So I think what we want to do is we need to check resource levels for all of our new ingredients, I think is what we want to do. Or maybe we just want to do this one. Let's see. Let's check our workers. I just want to make sure I don't like double. Okay, so maybe let's just try check resource levels. So I don't have to go find this again. All right, let's see if that fixes it. Oh, the other thing I was excited about, I've finally got some Steam art coming. I commissioned an artist 6 weeks ago to create a capsule image for me for Steam. And, you know, we never agreed on a time or anything like that, or a time frame. Definitely went slower than I expected, but she is done, or will be done. Tells me she will be done tomorrow. I've seen the final image, and she's just going to clean up the Photoshop file for me so that if I need to make any edits, I can. And then I think she's actually going to do all the different Steam aspect ratios for me, which is awesome. That'll save me a couple hours worth of work. So I'm excited. I'm very excited to get the new Steam art or the new art up on the Steam page. I've been kind of like, the Steam page has been a little bit of an experiment this time around of adding to it over time and seeing what makes impacts. And right now the wishlist numbers are, and they're better than some, but they are not what they should be. And I'm excited to see if better Steam art will result in more traffic and hopefully a marked increase in wish lists. Okay, so that's all working. We're cranking out some canned food. That's great. Oh yeah, we got to unlock this. Unlock this recipe. We can go to thermite. Let's see. So what we should do is we should unload. There we go. Yeah, we're working already. That was way easier than I expected it to be. So I want to see if anything goes wrong here. So we're unloading all the other resources. There we go. Perfect. And it should fill us up with the iron and the aluminum, which is the red and the blue there. And then we should... And now we're shipping thermite back to... You tried to hire your wife to do your game logo? Yeah. I think that's one of those things, you know, I'd love it if my wife was a digital artist that I could work with. She's a teacher. But it could definitely be some stress in the relationship. Okay, I want to test this one more thing. I want to see, I feel like maybe we loaded in some thermite, like maybe we actually brought some thermite over. And so I want to see this. So we've got 502 canned food. If I switch this over, do we... Did we actually like... Yeah, we did. We did. Okay. Yeah, we dropped. Okay. So that's not the... Okay, so it works, but it's got a weird side effect. So we don't want to do that. Yeah, I totally get the overwhelmed with the art thing. I was feeling really discouraged at the beginning of this week. I got my quote unquote final draft back from the artist, and everything can be better, right? This image could be better. If if we were working at a big company and she was at the desks next to me, I'd probably still go like work on some things and adjust some things, or we would have hashed out some ideas ahead of time in more detail. But anyways, so when I got my image back from her, there were aspects of it that I absolutely loved. I thought were great. There were aspects of it I was like, oh, I don't necessarily love that. 100%, 200%, 300% better than what I could do. And there was this part of me of like, okay, maybe I need to give it another try. I don't know. And I spent, an hour or two on Blender and this and that, just trying to like see if I could get like an effect that I liked. For Steam art, definitely could not. Definitely could not. I'm not sure the amount of money that I spent on this art is going to be returned. I'm not sure if I'm going to get a good return on investment, but it is a nice image, and it's certainly better than what I could do on my own. Okay, so the problem here is check resource levels goes through all the allowed types, which is not what we want. That is not what we want. So what we want to do instead is here, we want to do check resource levels. And what we want to put in there is this specific resource like that. We're doing level design, you got overwhelmed. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. This stuff is hard, man. It is really, like, we all say it. But it's, we say it to each other to be encouraging, and then we just get slammed by it ourselves later, right? If you asked me 2 years ago when this project started, would I still like not have a demo released on Steam? I'd be like, no way. Definitely have that demo released, in a year and a half. I figured this project would take, I thought this was a 2-year project, and it's looking much more like a 3-year project. James Young, yeah, hard and underappreciated, 100%. And the other thing that I find now that I'm, right, this is not my day job making this game, but my day job is working as a Unity developer. The other thing that I find is that you have days where you're productive and like things are clicking, and then there's other days where it's just not. And I see maybe a little bug here. Yeah, and you got to give yourself space on those days where you're not clicking, where you are feeling overwhelmed, or you're just not making progress. Like, you got to give yourself a break. That's one thing I've learned with my day job. Like, I can have a day or even 2 days where I'm just not very productive, whether I'm distracted by something at home, or I didn't sleep very well, or whatever, upteen list of things going on. And if I just like give myself a break, and some breathing room to go take a nap, to just zone out, to give myself permission to not be super productive that day, then the next day, so often the next day, or sometimes there's 2 unproductive days, I just get it all done. All right, so we're canned food. So let's, I gotta unlock my upgrade again. There we go. Okay, so what I want to see, we did deliver thermite. I don't. Okay, we didn't. We did. Okay, it produced it that quickly, but we had 500, so we didn't take it out of our storage. Great. Hey, Debater Man. Hey, Grim. Thanks for joining. Grim, what engine is this? Yeah, it's Unity. Yep. Yep, the only engine I have any idea how to use. Let's see, Debater Man, what you're saying here. Hit burnout and overwhelmed also. Yep. Last few days, it's been a pain. Like I force it to get stuff done, but yeah, took this week to realize I'm burnt. Yep. Yeah, right. You get like, for me, like mountain biking is a huge piece of what I enjoy. Like when I get done with this live stream today, I'm gonna go head out on my bike. Hopefully at least an hour and a half, maybe 2.5 hours, and get some exercise. And I'll come back and like so much more productive and happier. And I don't know. I think if you had to work on your own, I think balancing the stress, like if I was crazy enough to make this game my day job and I had the stress of trying to pay my mortgage based on this game, I think it would overwhelm me and burn me out very, very quickly. As a former teacher, I very much understand the burnout. I was a very burned out teacher. Okay. Whew, that text is big. I am not that blind. I made it big so people could see it. All right, we got that one solved. Awesome. Last one we're going to do before we tackle the big bug of the stream is this storage complex needs a build up. So as buildings have the resources delivered, you've probably seen this, the models pop into place. And my storage unit, let's make sure does not do that. It just stays as this blue outline, which is boring. So we're going to fix that. Hey, Colonel JCD, not your kind of game. Yeah, thank you. It's totally fair if it's not your kind of game. This is it's the kind of game that I enjoy. I feel like I actually stumbled on, like, that sounds silly, but in some ways, like my previous game was a game jam game that somebody kind of challenged me to turn into a Steam game, which I did. This game that I'm currently making has already made more money than that last game. And I thought that was kind of a fun, playful game. And when I decided to make this game, I wanted to go back to kind of a tried and true, trope, mechanics, game genre of like sci-fi, lasers and explosions, resource management. And that was just like, hey, let's not try to be funky and weird. My last game was hand-drawn, was about a player looking for their lunch. And so really the inspiration for this game was, it was a game I wanted to play, but I feel like I've kind of created the game that I wanted to play. It's not perfect. It needs a lot of work, but yeah, just kind of a fairly chill, move at your own pace. If you go fast, you can go fast. If you go slow, you can go slow. Resource management base building game. Let's see, Debater Man, what are you saying? Maybe you want to put like worker fog that increases as production increases instead of constantly appearing. I don't know quite what you mean there by worker fog. Oh, I see. Like, instantly appearing. Yeah. So well, maybe I know what you're talking about. So normally these buildings get built. So if I build like let's get a smelter here. So you get this placeholder and then the things kind of pop into place slowly. That's what I want to do. I want to do that for the storage unit over here. Yeah, the work. I have such fond memories of that too, right? I think any of us that have played those games, those old RTS games, have such fond memories of those sound effects. And I thought about it with this game. I didn't know if it would get old. I also don't necessarily have a voice actor to do that. So, okay, let's go get that build up organized for our storage. So let's jump into Blender here. I hear you and obey. Those were so good. I remember at the time, right, just like thinking just how clever those little Easter eggs were, right? Like, because some of them you had to click a lot. You had to click a lot. All right, here is our storage. Let's see, one of these should be in pieces. All right, so we are going to slide you over. Oh yeah, at some point I doubled the number of shuttle pads on there. Let's see, are you all in pieces too? Yeah, you are in pieces. I wonder if did I already do this? It kind of looks like those have been prepped. No, I have not. Because this one looks like it's already kind of prepped to do that. Let's see. I think we're all attached to this one. Okay, yeah, good. Okay, so 0, 0, 0. Ah, shit. I needed to make sure that it's in the exact position. I'm sure there are some fancy, snappy ways to do this, but let's do it this way. We're going to slide this guy over. We're going to go in. We're going to click on this guy. We're going to come in here and we're going to separate by loose parts. This is how I've had to do it on a lot of the other models. And then we're just going to join these things back up. Let's do it this way. Nope, you won't let me do that. Okay. All right, we're join those. We're going to join those. So those all slide into place. That's separate. That's separate. That should be separate. I think these will actually be. Let's see if there's any left over. Sometimes there's some weird little leftover pieces. All right, we're going to turn off that grass tile. And then we're going to go geometry to origin. Origin to geometry. And then we're going to parent it to this guy here. Let's make sure these are all actually, yeah, we're unwrapped. Okay, good. We're going to get rid of this guy because we don't need him. Make sure we highlighted everybody, and we are going to save and export FBX. Yeah, James Young. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was actually one of my fears, was that if you kind of do this sound effecty voice thing with units, yeah, it definitely gets old, and you would need a lot of variety. Well, the other thing that happened to a lot of, I mean, it did get old. Vanderman's here is referring to Warcraft. Was that Warcraft? I don't know if Warcraft, at least Warcraft 2. I remember it did get kind of old. All right, storage build up. Let's remember to collect selected objects only. Export. The other thing that I think could be fun is to not go the full Warcraft 2, well, I think even StarCraft did that too, didn't it? Not go that full, like, have that audio all the time. But you could just have a slightly different selection noise every time you click it. Right now, there's a little bit of like a thud or click. Probably won't come across on stream. I don't think I have volume set up that high. And that would be a nice touch. All right. Bum, 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 bum. That is probably not what I want, actually. Dust puff. One of my favorite things right now is the onValidate function in a mono behavior to just like initialize itself, like adding that component and it grabbing all the right things and populating that list. One of my favorite things. Okay, let's go take a look at this guy. All right, the other thing, so we got to apply materials. Color palette. That is a lot of... I'm surprised there's that many objects. What is that? What the hell is that? Oh, okay. I thought I joined all those. Oh, man. Oh, man. I don't want all those cubes. All right, let's try that again. I'm gonna turn my fan on too. It's another crazy windy day out there. Let's see what you guys are saying here. Debater man, click a unit and it says friend, Romans, cowboy, countryman, lend me your ears. Absolutely. If you use fmod, you can randomly layer and vary them to create lots of variations. Fmod is one of those things that I haven't, I know people speak really highly of it and I just never jumped into it. At least it would be educational. Debater man, you're channeling Adam here. It's not a bad thing. All right, let's go see if that cleaned things up. Okay, that definitely cleaned things up a little bit. We got a little bit better, a little bit fewer things. Just like, what the hell is that? Like, why? Why do we have these random? I guess they're not random, but like, what the hell is this thing? Okay, so that can go away. That can go away. It must just be some weird, like, I wonder, I may have had some empties in there. Well, obviously I had some empties in there. I probably had some empties when I was doing some modeling. I don't know what it would have been for, but. All right. Refresh that. Now what I want to do is we just got to kind of make sure that here, lock this in. What I got to do is make sure that we have kind of the rough right order here. So I'm going to move this up. Number 5 is going to go up there. Okay, so that's the other big box. And then I want these all right. So then I want 2 and 24 to be next. All right, and then we're going to put in an empty. It's going to be landing pad. That is not how you spell that. Try that. Put landing pad on like that. This is just an empty object to let the shuttles know where they should land. I'll put it right about there. Actually, I kind of feel like we should change that up a little bit. We should, right? It's fine. It's totally fine. Okay. Let's go make a prefab of this. All right. Unit buildups. Here we go. Drop it in. Get rid of that. Come back to our unit manager. And then we're going to drop that in there. Did that actually? Yep, storage buildup. Okay. All right, let's give that a quick test, see if that builds up. And then we're going to get on to a tricky bug. All right, put our storage down. We got our blue unit. Oh, almost the right order. Why didn't that find? All right, that was pretty close. Let's change this a little bit. So we've got build up there. Okay, 5 should be, no, I just moved it around a little bit. There we go. Okay. I'm not sure why that landing pad didn't work. All right. Okay. So I need to say this. All right. Now, here's the tricky part. There is a bug, and I was describing this at the beginning of the stream when nobody was here, but I like to talk to myself, so it's all good. Here's the tricky bug. And this is pretty close to game breaking. Game doesn't crash, anything like that, but it can definitely, it's going to leave the player, if they notice what's going on, it's going to leave the player wondering what the hell happened. So The bug is when a building requests resources to do whatever it's going to do, there's a maximum number it can store. And so it should be checking all the time to ensure that it's never requesting more than it can store. And it does that until somehow the request seems to get fulfilled more times than it should. And when it does that, it actually marks it down. One of the values becomes negative, and it doesn't correct itself. So what ends up happening, instead of storing 10 units, you might be storing 50 or 100. Or I even saw one last night that was only supposed to be storing 30, and it was storing 300, which in the middle of a game, like I was looking at my fuel cells, my energy, and like I'm like, okay, we're good, it's stable, we can keep adding, we can keep building like more factories, more smelters, we can keep making our base bigger and bigger. And then all of a sudden, I just like flatlined. Like I went from like 300 or 400 energy to basically zero. And there are things in the game that could potentially make that happen, but I was like, what in the world? I'm looking at the numbers, nothing looks like it's mismanaged or not working right. And then I don't know, half an hour later, I'm playing the game and I click on a building, and sure enough, one of my towers has got 300 fuel cells sitting in it, which is great for it. You know, it wasn't going to run out of energy, but it did cause a major problem with the game. So the first task is to figuring out how in the world we reproduce that. And I have a little bit of a suspicion that it's happening when I speed up the game. I'm going to create a supply ship here. And what I want to do is just test this like, hey, can we freak this out somehow? I'm going to speed it up. Let's go 3 times. So I'm on this mine here, and it's got a maximum storage of 20. Oh, you know what I might, maybe I got an idea of what it might be. Okay, so here's the tower. This is was the offending thing last time. And there is one difference between how these things are being handled. Let's give ourselves some more resources so we can complete. Except I saw this happen with a farm too, so that's funny. I'm sped up, and so my reload time is 0.0833. And the weird piece is just like, it doesn't happen to all buildings. It's not like all of a sudden every building is storing too much. There's just, under some circumstances, we have an accounting error. And of course, all of these guys are behaving nicely. Okay, so what happens if let's build a couple more solar panels. What I want to see is, can I overload? We're going to connect that here. We're going to disconnect the headquarters from the mine. So it's going to get all of its energy straight from this solar panel. And we're going to do the same thing here. Can we overload it this way? No, it's not. All right. This has been the challenge with this bug, is that it's hard to reproduce. So I'm going to start get our bad guys coming. Oh, we're coming on over there, huh? All right. Okay, so what I wanted to try here is, now let's build a tower here. And I want to try the same. Okay, so you guys are not, we're definitely not overloading that guy. This is like one of those bugs that a customer reports, and such and such is happening, and like it's a big issue. Like this is a big issue. If this doesn't, I have to get this resolved before I release a Steam demo. Speaking of which, I said this earlier, but I think we got a different crowd on. If you are at all curious, there's now a demo up on itch. It's a couple days behind this. It's a couple days behind the build that I'm currently on. It might have a bug or two. Well, it certainly has the bug that I'm trying to solve. But if folks are interested, there is a link in the description down below. There's 3 links at the top of the description. One of those is to the itch demo page. If people want to play along. Okay, so we've got that built. That's great. We're going to start our spawn. So one of the things, so the laser tower handles its resources a little bit different, just a little bit different. And that is that it always tries to stay full. So if its energy is at 28, it's going to request exactly 2 to fill itself back up. And our other buildings don't do that. They wait until there's a full shuttle load, which is 5 units, before they make a request. And that's that's an optimization piece to make sure that not every time we use a resource, we're putting in a brand new request. But and it doesn't really matter if it doesn't really matter for a short period of time if there it is. It just happened. Yep. Yeah, so it doesn't matter, right, if a mine for a short period of time has slightly less than its full amount of whatever. But these laser towers, these defensive units, you want to make sure that they are totally full before night comes again. So that's why we're going to handle it differently. That might be what's going on. So let's take a look at that code here. There is a Boolean here, always fill up. It's always nice when you leave yourself a comment. This needs a better solution. It's quite possible. Okay, so I'm immediately looking at this. I don't. Okay, so it's gotta be. It's gotta be here. Yeah, right? Yeah. Leave all the problem. I'll fix it later. I'll get to it at some point. Oh, man. All right, so tower behavior. We're calling this, and we're checking for, that's where this is getting called from. Okay, so it's got to be. Oh, right. We're hitting that every. Well, that's just dumb. That still should work, but there's no reason that needs to get called every frame. Okay. Let's just make sure these pieces make sense. So get storage limit. All right, max storage limit. Okay, storage limits. Okay, so this lets us put in storage limits per resource. If for some reason, if the building storage limit is 20 and we want to be able to hold 30 of a particular storage unit or resource, we can do that. Otherwise, we just return that. Great, that makes total sense. Here, we're getting. Yeah, this is the cause. Okay, this is totally the cause. Because, okay, so then we're just totaling up all these different lists, which is ugly, but this is some of the messiness that I didn't expect when I first started creating the system. You have to keep track of the amount that's stored, the amount that's coming to you, which is the transit, and then you have to track the amount that was actually requested. They're all different things. But I think I see the issue. So what's happening is we are checking, and that might be why I might know why this is cropping up now. So we're checking every frame, which is just dumb for that to be happening. We can optimize this. We're going to optimize this a chunk here. And what that worked when I probably originally did it, but I changed over my cargo system now like alternates even odd frames for checking different types of requests. It doesn't need to check them all every frame, so we do it every other frame for a little bit of performance boost. And now there's a one frame gap. So that can get hit twice. And I'm willing to bet you that's exactly what happened. We double requested. Oh, this is going to be so much easier to solve, hopefully. Hopefully. Okay, so what we need to do is on enable, we're going to do day night manager toggle day. Let's do trans, doesn't really matter. Toggle today. Request resources. Resources, something like that. On disable. And then what we're going to do is add that in there. There's a zero reason that needs to be happening every frame. We can do it at the start of every day because our tower behaviors are only using resources at night. That totally works. Also, this yeah, let's just start with is day. We'll allow it to do its things during transitions. That may not be a bad. There's no need. Let's do is night, is not night. All right, let's go see if that. I'm just glad we could reproduce that. That was awesome to be able to reproduce that. If folks have questions, I know there's a few folks out there. Looks like we actually had decent traffic today. If folks have questions in the game, happy to answer them. Also happy to answer questions on other people's projects. If you got your own project. Happy to try to help. Okay, let's start our spawn. They're going to come in that way, huh? For the pop-in of they're all tweens. Yeah, all the pop. I have used and abused do tween. Yeah, it's all a tween. All right, there we go. Let's go fly over here. Wait, where are you guys coming in? You're coming in over there. All right, now we've got that. So we're going to unlock, get us some resources, and we're going to put our tower there. And we'll put some solar panels there. I don't know if the solar panels are necessary. Well, I guess one of the reasons I was putting solar panels there is I'm a little curious if this error can come up when you're getting delivered from a global storage unit, which is just a different chunk in the code. Whereas when you're getting delivered directly from a non-global storage unit, it is a different chunk of code. So that has a lot of repetition in it, or does a lot of the same things. And so just want to make sure that we aren't, have an error in one of those chunks. But I think we found it. I think it makes total sense that that was the cause. I swear I saw a farm have the same issue. Why are we not serving that guy at all? Oh, son of a. Because now we're not doing it every frame. We're waiting until the daytime to do it. Okay, fair enough. There we go. Now we request it. So let's fix that. Tower behavior. Do I not have a... Oh, yeah. Here's my... Okay, it's like, wait a minute. Let's just... Okay. All right. So we're going to wait. We're going to spawn one more time here. And if we fix the bug... then we should not have... our fuel cell should stay at 30. I always get a chuckle out of, I got a stream analytics over here on my other monitor and just like watch when people leave and pop in, pop out. I'm sure with a stream this size, it's fairly random when people leave and what have you. Sometimes it makes me feel like I'm boring the shit out of people. Like the graph just shows we went from like 15 people to 4. Oh, right. That appears to have solved that problem. I swear I saw it happen with the farm, but that is really, really... That's great. That's fabulous. I was afraid we were going to go deep into the weeds and there was going to be some weird little accounting problem in one of the mini classes that deals with the cargo delivery. Well, there's really only like 3 classes that deal with it, but that's freaking awesome. I thought that was going to be the entire stream right there trying to fix that. Yeah, I think you're right, Debater Man. Probably people working and such. For the life of me, I cannot listen to somebody talk while I work. Not even remotely close. I probably just jinxed myself. Totally. Because I swear I did I probably played for like an hour and a half last night. And I swear I saw a farm do it at some point. So let's go see where this function gets called, because this could be the problem. So most of the time it's going to get called here on resource delivered. So when we deliver something, when something happens, something changes, that is when we are calling it. So this is all our pub. Start behavior. Okay. Resource. I just want to make sure it's not in our update. Like it is right here. So this is the bomber base behavior, which the bomber base may or may not make it into the game. But let's change that. Okay, and then we're going to put that into that. And one of my favorite things, we get to get rid of an update function. All right, same going on here. Again, this is another class that may not actually make it up into the game. But let's unjinx ourselves a little bit here. Oh, geez. Oh, geez. Like I did it everywhere. And another update function goes away. I have a bunch of these like defensive units that aren't going to be in the aren't going to be in the demo. But were some of the earlier prototyping of the game. Yeah, let's not jinx ourselves too much here. Okay, there we go. Last thing I want to do is solve the problem today and then have to solve it again 6 months from now when I'm implementing something else or add another building to it. Hey, nice car. Picking up the remainder of our garden supplies. Nice. You guys finally warm enough that you can plant outside? We just about froze last night. Cold blast coming through. I would have thought, I used to live in Colorado, and I would have thought in Colorado, and now live in Idaho. I would have thought Idaho I could have planted earlier, but it's like the same growing season in Idaho versus Colorado. Or at least close. Godot has a built-in IDE, really? Seems like a weird. That seems like a weird place to put your energy. Like, why not use an established IDE? I mean, I guess they have their own. I don't know. It seems a little weird. I guess I don't know that much about them, but yeah, you'd think built into it would be pretty good, but it lacks stack trace without compile. Yeah, that would be a little bit of a bummer. Yep. I got about 39. Yeah, that's about what we got to last night. I think our freezing level dropped to like 4,500 feet, so we're not that high here. We're only at 3,000 feet, but we covered our plants last night. That's for sure. We've struggled to grow things in our backyard, so I'm trying to give them every benefit that they can get. And here I am rambling about gardening. All right. Let's wow, that was really I may have jinxed myself, but geez, that was all right. Let's take a look at this one. The dropped cargo sits above the ground. Let's see. Let's see what's causing that problem. That's a really minor issue, but let's see what's causing that one. Famous last words. I know, right? I have been cranking out like solving bugs for what feels like the last 2 months. So systems are starting to be fairly reliable. Okay, so here's the issue. If I delete this guy, all right. Well, now they're sitting on the ground just fine. I don't know. Last night they were hovering. I don't know. We can go take a look at that code too and see where, I think that's in player unit. At least it should start there. Okay. All right, place cube. So this should be, yeah, okay, that's where we're doing this. We're setting local, so maybe I already, I don't know. Maybe I already fixed that. Maybe I fixed that and I forgot to take it off my list because right there I'm setting the scale, which is what I was thinking it would be a problem with. Okay, and we're tweening them down. I don't know. Seems to be working. Let's see if we can fix this mini map issue. Because that's a nice little polish. I know what. Do I know what caused that? I don't actually. I know what I changed and why it broke. Or I know what I changed and then it broke. So I added mini map icons to each of the little units instead of just the big unit. And that seemed to have broken it. I don't know what I'm looking for. Okay, let's go back in here. Let's go check out the code on the minimap. Yeah, there. Okay, there's my enemy indicator. Oh, that's funny. I'm trying to fix these little arrows that are on the mini map, and when I was first playing around with this concept, I had them actually moving around the screen as a whole. And then I switched it over to move on the mini map, which is why this code is not on the mini map, but on the canvas itself. So let's take a look at this. I'm gonna sit down. So what's happening, and it's kind of subtle and probably doesn't come across super well on stream unless you're looking at it or looking for it even, is so each enemy, or each big chunk of enemies has a little arrow on the mini map that shows up when they are not visible, when they're outside the mini map. And what's supposed to happen is when they come onto the mini map, that arrow turns off and you can then see the individual icons or the individual minimap blips. And that was working until I decided to put individual indicators on each little critter. So, okay, here is here toggle indicator is visible. Okay, so it's got to be this renderer that we're. Oh, that is totally what it is. So let's see where this renderer gets set. Okay, yep, there we go. Yeah, we're just getting a component in the child. Yep. Okay, so what's happening? Let's see what else we can. Yeah, so what's happening here is all the other renderers mesh renderers get turned off except for this enemy minimap icon. And the other ones get turned off because the GPU instancer turns them off and draws them on their own. This is just a unique thing that hasn't got added yet, I believe. So let's check. There's enough of these on here that I think it makes sense to have this on here. Okay, those are all tile icons or tile minimap icons. Yeah, that one is not in here. So let's enable runtime. We'll tick all these little boxes. Great. Let's make sure all our bits and pieces got added. They did. Let's see if that works. Gotta let the fog, I gotta let the world fully build before I do the spawn. Otherwise the spawn breaks. All right, there we go. Okay, I got a few things to fix there. Mini map icons. These spawn points, these little crystals that get spawned, even when they're hidden, their icon shows up. All right, so there. Okay, so there's my arrow. There's my units. It did not turn off. So let's find out here. Okay, that's not the indicator one I want. Okay, so here we go. Here's an enemy marker. Indicator object. I don't not quite sure what Visual Studio is doing. I'm not sure why I'm jumping from thing to thing. All right, clear. Oh, because I have unsaved changes. Okay. Like, why am I going to the wrong line? Okay, so it's not. So what's happening is, so you can see that they show up, but the arrows up here are still there. And then when they get close to the center of the mini map, they swirl all over the place, and nobody loves a swirly. So let's go in here. Let's save that again. So at least our breakpoint will, or at least we can move from line to line. Ooh, I might actually have my Steam assets. Sweet. Sorry, I just got an email from the artist that I commissioned to do the Steam art. Sweet. Looks like I might still have a little bit of work to do, but that's awesome. Okay. Focus, Jeremy. Focus. Let's see. Debater Man. Understand. You'll start streaming when I develop as well. May help me with keeping focus, knowing I can't get distracted or anyone will judge me. Well, I just disproved you there by totally becoming unfocused and looking at my phone for 30 seconds at an email. There goes that theory. Oh, I did it too early. Oh, no. Okay. Who says I'm wearing pants? Huh? Camera doesn't go that far down. It is true, though. I think streaming, though, like, it I don't know. I enjoy it. It's a chance to share what you're doing. I find actually that I think the most valuable piece of streaming for me is little bits of feedback and ideas. This is the third game that I'll put out on Steam. I've worked on other projects that I've had to abandon, like all of us, but it's still not working right. Every game that I have worked on and streamed, I may not have streamed every project, but I've certainly streamed the 3 projects that are on Steam. Every one of those, some of the best ideas have come from viewers, just with a different lens, a different set of eyes. Heck, Nike's car, who's lurking here somewhere, made me a shader for the water. Yeah, I think it's one of the great values of streaming. I do think, without a doubt, though, getting an audience these days is tough. All right, let's put a breakpoint in here. Okay, I want to get an enemy. That's a crystal spawn point. Okay. Enemy marker. Okay, that is what I want. Okay, so the renderer it's getting still the mini map marker. It shouldn't be visible. Why is it enabled? I wonder what, okay, okay, let's go take a look. There's one of my beautiful subunits. Interesting. Yeah, see, all these mesh renderers are turned off. And here it says it is enabled. It's a dihydrogen monoxide shader. It's deadly stuff, you know, deadly stuff. All right, what? Let's go take a look at. What is my indicator object? Indicator. All right, object to follow. I guess I'm surprised that the render is returning true for is visible. Yeah, that makes sense. Next car, yeah. I mean, the mesh renderers are turned off. I thought I did some testing that mesh renderers would return false. The is visible would return false if the mesh renderer is turned off. But this actually says it is turned. It actually says it's enabled. So I guess that makes sense. But if I go look in Unity, oh, okay, this one's false. And enabled is still true. Let's go. I don't even know if I 100% need this is visible. I guess what I was trying to do is prevent having to do this calculation every time. Let's go grab our static inspector and see if we can. All right, what is the name of this class? Enemy indicator, very clever. Enemy indicator. All right, here's my indicators. So crystal don't care about, crystal don't care about, crystal don't care about. All right. Oh, marker. Okay, I was totally reading the wrong. I was looking at the totally wrong thing. So I might just be an idiot. Okay, so these are the two that I actually care about. The marker, yeah, I was being an idiot there. Oh, interesting. It's grabbed that. So that mesh render is on, but the game object is off. That's... Okay, that makes more sense of what it's actually grabbing. So what happens if I turn that mesh renderer off, and let's go find the other one. If I turn that mesh renderer off, does not solve my issue. What happens if I comment this out? This all sprung up from what I was trying to do. I think I did this last night. What I realized was happening was, I think this is an okay thing to do. So what was happening is on the mini map, when the enemies were off the mini map, you'd get the indicators around the outside of the mini map. And they weren't visible yet. You couldn't see them, but you get the indicators in the mini map. And then they would come onto the mini map, but they still weren't visible because of fog of war. And so then the icons would go away. And so I've debated whether that's a good thing or not. Should the minimap icons show up even if the units are hidden by the fog of war? Seems like the answer should be no. But these indicators on the outside of the map show up when you can't see them at all. I don't know. Hey, Lee1 Davis 1, thanks for joining. Always appreciate it. Have a good afternoon or evening. Guess I don't know what the time zone is. Okay, so, oh, it's working now. Okay, so if I just don't check that. So I don't know. How do people feel about that? Let's speed this up here. So I can maybe show people what is going on. So if I come over here, here's my spawn point. All right, enemies spawn. You can see the little orange guys on the mini map. And then I come over here, arrows show up. But now I can see them going across land that I can't see. So if I just stay here, you can see what's happening too. So I want the minimap indicators to give the player some idea of what's going on, right? So right now you can see the arrows there, arrows on the minimap. And then once they're in, you can see their dots. Oh, that's an interesting idea. Have the arrow point in. Ooh, that's a clever solution. The issue with that would be when they get really close to the center of the mini map, the arrows spin. Which is why I turn them off when the object gets on the scene. All right, let's go. It does seem a little weird that you can see them see their units or see their icons through the fog of war. So let's do this. Let's add in the minimap icon. I like the idea of the pointing in and out. I just don't know what to do when they get close to the center of the view. Let's see. Relying on Unity's messages for logic stuff might be the wrong move since they are so inflexible. Yeah, I think it's definitely a possibility. Oh, I see. Okay, the pointing in is only when they're obscured by the fog of war. That's yeah. That's a better solution. I mean that is a good solution. I just got to figure out how to get those systems to communicate. Like some of them are showing up. Why the hell are some of you showing up? Did I miss some of them? What in the world? How did some of them show up like that? That's hilarious. Oh man. All right, there's all my little dots. My little arrows. And Why are there 4 that are showing? Oh, because the mini map is not a. How can the mini map not be? I mean, what? Let's see here. If the units had an enum for their status and a state machine could send out a message for the subscribers to hear, that would take care of it. Yeah, no, that could totally work. Um, I guess one thing that I played around with here a little bit is like adding the icon to each little sub unit. I just think it looks a little bit better. You get this like flow of units coming in. It's a little more interesting. But the indicator, so I actually have like fog control for each little subunit, but the indicators on the mini map, the arrows are only for the whole group. So there's a little bit of reconciling there. Yeah. Right. Yeah, we're checking over them. It's just that yeah, it's the reconciliation. It's trying to get so we have this group of enemies and then all the subunits, and the subunits are controlling their own visibility, and the indicators tracking the parent object. So you could do something like the parent. You flip the arrow if any of the children are visible or are. You wait. Well, if any of them are visible, you turn off the indicator. And if it's inside the mini map, you flip the indicator. Yeah, exactly. Next car, yeah. I don't want a million arrows on the edge, but I do. It was cool in playtesting last night when I had a relatively large swarm of 40 or 50 of these little subunits coming. You really did have this wave of guys coming. Okay, apparently I'm using the grunt variant. That's funny. Which makes more sense because they're actual prefabs. Okay. Okay. So let's take a look at this code here. Yeah. Well, the tracking the parent I think works fine. I just need to know the parent doesn't actually know when any of its children are visible. So I'm just trying to think of what a good way. So this is the fog unit. This is, I've got a public variable here to know whether we're up or down. That probably shouldn't be public like that without a getter setter. Maybe we'll change that. Make sure this isn't getting called. Yeah, it's not getting called anywhere else. Okay. This also shouldn't be public. I wonder if that's just left over from. I don't know what that's left over from. Okay. Just trying to think of what the best way to wire this all up is without getting all kinds of nasty stuff. So here's my enemy unit. This is the parent object. It's aware of this enemy group. Subunit. Oh, there's my move animation. I was wondering where that was. You're supposed to be playing. Yeah, it's good to see that. Okay. Get rid of a few things here. Yeah, parent equals visible. Yeah, but again, the parent just doesn't have any visibility on it, which is the issue. So what I could do is do something like list fog unit, fog list, something like that. And on awake, we're going to do, actually, we don't need to make it a list. We'll make it an array because it's not going to change in size. Fog list equals get components in children fog unit. Okay. And then we'll do public bool is visible. Is group visible. All right, if the fog list is not down, we return let's see, send child unit list, draw child unit list. Yeah, I think that's essentially what we're doing here. Okay, so we got it. Yep. Okay. And then back to enemy indicator. All right. And then we can do enemy unit. So here we can do indicator object, enemy unit, like so. This is feeling a little convoluted, but all right. So if indicator type is enemy unit, oh, there's going to be too many negatives. Okay, so for enemy unit, that's great. If we are visible, we do not want to show our indicator. Show the indicator. Check if the object is visible. Oh, I don't like where this is going. Okay, so if it's an enemy unit and it's visible, we return false, so we turn off the indicator. That makes sense. That's good. If flip uh, flip direction. I don't know. I don't know if I like that. I like that. I really like what we're going towards, but I'm not necessarily liking my implementation here. So okay, so this is if we're inside. If inside mini map. Okay, so if enemy list, we're going to we know we are not visible now. We're going to do indicator object. This is horrible. That is horrible. Yeah, and I get what you're saying. The issue here is I'm handling 3 different types of indicators that were all behaving the same, and now now we're just injecting this different behavior for the enemy unit. I just start to question what I'm doing when I start nesting if statements. Okay. If indicator is enemy and indicator object flip direction equals true. That really needs to be on the outside though. Well, let's see if the arrow's not going to be right all the time, but let's see if that's not going to be quite right. But let's see if we can even just get the arrow to flip. Okay, so there they're visible. They go invisible. There's my arrow. Oh, I'm still missing one apparently. Oh, yeah. I didn't do anything to flip the arrow. All right, let's see here. Indicator object to follow. Okay, so that's the direction we're getting our sign. That's just the direction we're at. This is our signed angle. Set indicator position. Okay, so let's do a bool is flipped. Yeah, I just need to do indicator object is flip direction. Okay. Okay. I can't add it to the angle before that because the position is also determined by that angle. All right, let's see if that works. Again, it's not going to get right. It's not going to be perfect. I don't think it's going to flip back and forth, but I just want to see if we can get a flip at all. All right, so they're all visible. Oh, shit. I spawned before the fog, and so their path got deleted. Okay, there we go. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's working. I still got the two that are. Okay, so we're not flipping back, which is what I thought would be the issue. Next car, this is a great little solution. I might be making a mess of the implementation, but I think this is a good little addition here. So there we go. Yeah, okay, so we're not flipping back, which totally makes sense because we only get there when we're inside the circle. Cool. Okay, let's look at this mess of... Oh, it makes me sad to see this. Okay. So let's take this and we're going to move this out here. So if we are enemy type, we're going to check and see. If we are less than that, flip direction. Cool. I haven't heard of that ZDNet's article about Apple's infamous go-to fail. I can only imagine. Let's pull that up. That's awesome. I've written things like that many times. Yeah, I know. I just the no bracket thing. I don't like it. I don't like the brackets when I only got one line in there. And the funny thing, of course, is like I'll start that right. I'll write some code and I'll have an if statement with no brackets, and because it's right, it's simple. I just one thing, and then 10 minutes later, I 90% of the time I'm adding braces to it to add more lines into it. My favorite mistake I made early on when I was learning to code is I had an if statement and then I put a semicolon at the end of the if statement, something like that. And it didn't. That's nice. That actually gives you a warning. I spent so much time uh, debugging that code, just losing my fucking mind because I had a semicolon on the same line as the if, and it never got to the whatever you'd call it, the body of the statement. Oh man. I wish there was a hotkey. I wish there was a hotkey to add to like surround a snippet with braces. Like I wish I could like highlight this, hit some buttons, and add in a snippet with the braces and keep that in between. That would be really nice. I know you can I think you can write the code to do that, but I don't know if I have that much time. Okay. Did I change anything? I don't think I changed anything. All right, let's do a spawn, quick day. All right, let's go see how this works. All right, dudes are there. Arrows aren't showing up at all. Oh, there they are. Arrows are pointing in because we're inside the map. It's not perfect. There could be a little gap where there might be a gap. Let's try this one more time and we'll just sit here and watch them come onto the screen. So there they are. Arrows are pointing in and out. Out. I think I have it backwards. So if the minimap size is larger, yeah. B5 fan, yep. We've all done those stupid little things. It's amazing, isn't it? Although I shouldn't say it'll jinx myself. It's been a long time since I've written code and then forgot to put it on an object. And then tried to debug the code. And the reason the code wasn't working was because I just didn't attach it to an object. Spent a lot of time with that problem too. All right, we'll spawn, quick day. All right. There's my arrows pointing the right direction. They flip. I can see the two remaining guys for some darn reason. That works pretty well. That works pretty well. I like that. I like that. Let's figure out why in the world we still have somebody who is minimap icon is not behaving nicely. It's because it has the wrong unit. Nice. Oh, I know what that was from. I can't remember why. It's bad. I can't remember why I have the variant and the non-variant. Come on, spawn the world. The reason you can't spawn early is because I actually, I don't know if you saw that, I just remove a few tiles around the start area. Rather than try to like very carefully control where tiles get placed, the start area, I actually remove tiles in a ring around you. And if you spawn too early, it creates its path. And then the tiles get deleted. All right, there we are. We're pointed in, pointed out, pointed in. We're coming in. We're visible. Sweet. I like that. As I was saying earlier, one of the main reasons I enjoy streaming is because I get good ideas from folks who watch. Nixcar, you're definitely disproportionate in that count, but that's a great way to kind of bridge that gap of what's going on. They're inside, and then I think my implementation is a wee bit janky. I don't necessarily love it, but it works. Just trying to make sure my arrows really are going the right way. Yep. Perfect. Exactly. That's kind of what I want to do, is like, I'm going to tiptoe away. I mean, I love the idea. I like the idea of doing this with an action or an event but I don't actually have anything. I don't have a good way to monitor that. I don't have a. I'd much rather have some action fire off and be like, hey, flip around, but I don't have a good way of monitoring that. All right, and just to make sure my other arrows are still working. This is one thing I got to do that the mini map, the icons for the spawn points show up regardless. I wonder if it's actually set. Well, we should look. Yeah, well, it's because they're animated right now. They're the animation controls their. Oh, that's an easy fix actually. Animation controls their scale, and so does the fog reveal. I should probably just set it to turn it off. That would be a smarter thing to do. Yeah. I'd love to hear your idea on Discord. Yeah, sounds like maybe you had a better way to do it. Here's why it's definitely a little. Mine's a little janky. Let's change this here. We don't need to be doing. We're actually tweening for these units. We're tweening the tile, the minimap tile. And I really don't think we need to do that. Let's see if that might be just a really easy fix. All right, so if I pan around, I don't see any. No, the crystal, the spawn points are not showing up. So I think that worked. Oh, what's going on? Start spawn. Yep. Sweet. Well, that was an easy fix. And there's really no need for those icons to tween in. The what's nice is when you discover tiles, when tiles show up, then their minimap icon tweens in. Aren't supposed to. Yeah. Those are big enough. I think that makes sense. These other ones, it's fine. Yep. And that's actually better because now they just turn off. Couple problems solved. All right, well, that one's done. Well, I might call it quits. I might call it quits here. That was a lot of the big problems. I still can't believe that big problem with the resources was solved so quickly. That was awesome. We'll see if it rears its head somewhere else. But at least stopped one place where we had that leak of resources, which was amazing. That was the uh, that was a pretty significant bug. I still have one more bug with I've been making some changes to how the enemy uh, targeting and pathfinding gets triggered. I was using some deprecated code, so I was trying to get away from that, as well as performance-wise, I don't think I was doing a great. I think in retrospect, I was doing some things that weren't awesome, but it's left a couple gaps in the logic. So that is, I got to address that here shortly. It's a little edge case, like basically if the enemy is looking for a target, and I think if the target is killed, it 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 doesn't look for a new target. And actually, that might be a super easy fix too. Let's just check and see if our target's not active. That may not be the issue. This uncommented code was doing some other stuff that didn't seem necessary. That's commented code, but anyways, I think I might take call it quits for the day. I feel pretty productive. Got rid of one of two big bugs, and maybe this little line just got rid of the other one. Those are the only kind of game breaking, if you will, or experience breaking bugs that I'm finding at the moment. Still plenty of polish and balancing. The tech tree is going to need another round of design and polish, just to make sure that the things that are in that tech tree are meaningful and useful when they're available. But again, it's feeling good. So anyways, guys, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Should be back on next Thursday as well. Might be taking a little break after that, travel and such things, but should be on next week, next Thursday. So thanks again. Hope to see you guys later.